I'm about as real as they come.
All my beats tailored by Joe. House Digital.
Maserati Rick in Detroit, convertible bird in Miami. Graduated summa cum laude, strip club made a tsunami. Carlton Hines with the ball game, Grateful Edmonds with the snowflakes, Craig Pettis in the M-Town, Sal Magluta with the boat game, Falcone with the cocaine, like Freeway Ricky with the plug game, like Monster Cody in South Central, Larry Davis from close range.
The body bag, a symbol of death and violence, a morbid reminder of Dallas's most violent year, and the numbers prove it. In 1986, there were 364 homicides. So far this year, 363 have died, one short of the record, with more than 2 months to go, and there's little police can do about it.
I don't know that we can prevent any murders, especially the ones that occur from arguments inside a home. There's not much way for the police to respond to that.
Police got the call to this house after a young woman, the mother of a 3-week-old baby, was murdered. Dallas, 1990 murder number 263.
It's an apparent burglary here at the location, and the victim surprised the burglar.
Murdered by a burglar, apparently after drug money in a neighborhood infested with crack houses. Out here, folks don't care about statistics, murder number 362 or 363. They worry about staying alive.
I'm frightened to live any place.
Dazelle and J.D. Taylor have lived out here 25 years. Finally, they've had it.
The neighborhood's been shook up because it's just a bunch of thugs walking around the streets.
Elaine Jameson would like to walk away from it all. She lost a loved one today. Tonight, she's angry.
It needs to stop. It needs to stop. You're surrounded with crackheads right today, right now, right here. It needs to stop.
And you lost a friend?
I lost a very good friend.
Some lose friends, others lose family. There are victims of the record murder rate in Dallas, spread out across North Texas. Marty Griffin, Texas News 5.
Three shots, heard the crash, heard the car roaring.
It was 11 o'clock last night, and Dallas police had already logged their second murder. Here, one shot was fired into a passing car, killing Jesse Pettis, age 15. The suspect is an Hispanic male, and the shooting may be gang-related. Just 25 minutes earlier on this street corner after the Carter Skyline football game, there was also a murder.
He was standing up through the sunroof, and he shot Derek, said, "I'll show you what Skyline is all about," and just shot Derek, just shot him down in cold blood.
The victim, Derek Mosley, age 17. The suspects are two black men, and this shooting may be over a high school rivalry. The next victim, Willie Burgess, age 24, was shot at 2:45 this morning by a black man, and police aren't sure why. It happened in this neighborhood where residents are already scared to let their children play in their own yards. There are drug deals and shootings all the time.
I don't mess around at night. When night comes, I'm at home.
It's rough, honey. You have to pray all the time. So all I know to do is pray.
While police admit the murder rate in Dallas has increased at a staggering pace over the last few months, they say Dallas is following a trend, not starting one, that murders and violent crimes are up across the nation.
I think it may be just the time of the year. I don't know. There's any number of reasons that you can think of that might cause this, but our murders are definitely up for the year.
Police feel outnumbered, people are scared, and there's no end in sight. Brian Mylar, Texas News 5.
Yo, we back. It's your boy Popalot. Mobb ties. We on our way to Texas with it. Dallas, Fort Worth, DFW. Y'all know how we rocking. Y'all get in the comment box. We back. Now, today, we are going to be covering definitely a legend in the city of Fort Worth. And this shit just got different parts from almost different kind of stories we hear when a plug testify against the dealer. We hear about the people incorporating hitman. We hear about people getting a lot of money off crack. We hear about people with exotic animals. It's just like it got a mix of all of those stories all in one. And the person that we're going to be talking about today is going to be a guy by the name of Willie Hugh Morris. But the whole city know him as BootNose. Now, before we get into it, I want to talk a little bit about Dallas-Fort Worth in 1990, 1991. Now, anybody that was around at that time, y'all get in the comment box, because if y'all survived that shit, shout out to y'all, because it was real wicked. Now, in or around that time, Dallas had its probably most deadliest year, and that was since 1986, because it was really, really hectic in 1986. And what a lot of people attributed that to in Dallas or in Dallas-Fort Worth was pretty much the stiffness, how they got tougher on crime in and around that time. Now, they're going to say that several things happened from the late 1980s and the early 1990s to change the crime rate, because after 1991, Dallas crime, or the crime in Dallas-Fort Worth, the year after, it dropped foreseeably. And from what they said, they're going to say that state prison spaces expanded, Congress abolished parole for federal prisoners, federal prosecution started targeting drug kingpins, and that's going to be very, very vital when we talk about this case. Now, they're going to say they rounded up low-level dealers to make cases against the suppliers. Now, as a result, the number of people behind bars soared. Now, the federal prison population shot from 50,000, right, roughly around 50,000 in 1990 to 106,536 in 1998. The state prison population nearly tripled in that time to about 144,439 inmates. Now, state prisoners received longer sentences. They were not paroled as easily. The average sentence for all crimes in 1998 was 20.1 years, and that was up from the 9.4 years that it was in 1990. Now, and all of that information was directly from Larry Todd, who was the spokesman for Texas Department of Criminal Justice. So now that we got that in hand, BootNose was real slick, real wild. He kind of was very, very elusive to state authorities. Now, these are going to be some of the facts from his case. On January 30th, 1992, a 35-count indictment was returned against 33 individuals. That included Willie BootNose Morris, his brother Kenny Morris, another guy by the last name of Owens, also a gentleman by the last name of Munoz, and another guy by the last name of Malone, who is going to be a key figure. Won't touch on him much, but he actually beat this case. Now, at trial, the government relied heavily on testimony of a guy by the name of Victor Mateus Costa, and he was a cocaine broker or distributor in the Fort Worth, Texas area. Costa testified that he bought bulk quantities of cocaine from several different groups and suppliers and sold the cocaine to a number of drug organizations in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Now, he's going to say that the suppliers also included groups from Miami. Now, Munoz and his associates were tied in, as well as a group from Laredo, but they're going to say that the main purchasers of the cocaine was going to be Willie BootNose Morris and his brother Kenneth Morris. And before I go any further, shout out to Kenneth Morris, because I seen in this case he ended up receiving 22 years. BootNose Morris would end up being convicted for 30 years, but they would come back for more. And I'm going to talk about that right after I talk about the 26 horses, the 2 cows, and the 3 tigers that they seized from him, from his Parker County mansion or estate. Now, that was on February 13th, 1992. They're going to say, I seen where the Humane Society of North Texas have been getting a great response for the pleas that they've been asking for money to try to get money actually to relocate these animals that were purchased and they once belonged to a Fort Worth convicted drug dealer by the name of Willie BootNose Morris, and he had 3 Bengal tigers. They said they had to raise more than they raised more than 5,000 of the 10,000 needed to move those animals. So that just kind of shows you the level that he was on, or the type of shit that he was dealing with, the impunity he was operating with. I saw numerous accounts where he would label himself as a professional gambler, and he would use that. He would use that pretty much a lot of times when he encountered certain drug raids. Now, it kind of all started to fall down because the organization that he was tied in, they was heavy with the murders. They said that they were bringing in enforcers from Los Angeles. It was crazy, but it will all kind of hit the fan with the murder of a guy by the name of Virgil Hawthorne. Now, well, actually not hit the fan, but that's kind of where I seen the beginnings of everything. Now, he was a Western Hills High School senior. He was shot in the head, and that was, I don't know if it was over a drug debt or a drug dispute, but that definitely had a prominent role. Now, 3 weeks before Christmas of 1989, two cousins by the name of Craig and Marvin Bodie, they died as they sat in a pink Cadillac on Evans Avenue. They were shot repeatedly in the upper bodies. The 2 teenagers became the first victims in a series of drug-related slayings that had plagued homicide investigators for more than a year. Now, it was at that time that homicide detectives began to assemble a flowchart of the city's crack cocaine distribution system. And they were going to say that Willie BootNose Morris was at the top of that scale, if you want to put it that way. Now, Tarrant County court documents and police report shows that he, at the time when they started watching him, he hadn't been arrested or convicted of a crime. He received 5 years of deferred injunction and a $1,000 fine in 1984 when he was the age of 26 after pleading no contest to a charge of delivery of a controlled substance. The charge was dismissed after he successfully completed 1 year probation. Now, on November 11th in 1987, he was arrested in Los Angeles in connection with a robbery. The charges for that was dropped as well. The following February, he was arrested by Fort Worth police and charged with carrying a loaded .45 caliber pistol, and that was tucked under the driver's seat of a 1988 Sterling. Now, according to police reports, Morris would go on to say that he always carried a gun when he went gambling. At the time, Morris was carrying $6,000 in cash. No charges was filed. Now, in December of 1989, he had a drug possession charge that was dismissed. Then later that year, he nearly lost $250,000. Nearly lost $250,000. Now, this was in December of 1989, so right about now, I'm going to say that's probably about 75. Well, it's almost going to be $1 million right about now. All my mathematicians, I need y'all in the comment box. But, so, acting on a tip and aided by a drug-sniffing dog by the name of Smokey, 2 DEA agents had stopped a woman carrying a blush gray hearted suitcase in Los Angeles International Airport in August of 1988. She identified herself as a Tarrant County junior college student. Now, inside the suitcase, agents would go on to uncover a outstanding find. Now, they found 2 rectangular brown paper packages secured with duct tape and covered by 2 blankets that smelt like pine oil. Now, they would go on to do further investigation, and inside of that, they found $226,000. They're going to say it was in $1s to $100 bills bound by multicolored rubber bands. Court records would show that the woman exclaimed, "Oh my God, did I just win the lottery?" asking, can she keep it? Now, later on in February of 1989, BootNose had claimed that the money was his, listing his occupation as a professional gambler / businessman. Morris testified that it was Texas gambling's winnings that he was sending to California for investment purposes. Now, later that year, a federal judge found probable cause that the cash was connected to narcotics transactions, and the government kept it. Now, it's crazy as far as the prosecution of how everything went. So in 1983, I'm gonna kind of backtrack and go there. Morris received probation on a felony drug charge, but in early 1990s, the law came down hard on him. He enjoyed, they would say, fancy cars, and he had a residence that held the animals. It was a 19-acre property in Parker County. It was actually a ranch. Now, in July of 1991, federal officials, they tried Morris on a $360,000 drug deal involving 20 kilograms. That's about roughly 44 pounds of cocaine. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison without parole. Nonetheless, U.S. Assistant Attorney Fred Shatterman took no chances. In September of 1992, Shatterman tried Morris again. At that time, it was a broader indictment. He was charged with running a drug trafficking operation from 1990 to 1991 that sold about 285 kilograms or 627 pounds of cocaine. At that time, it was roughly estimated at about $5 million wholesale. Morris was convicted and he received life without parole. At that time, he was 35 years old. Now, if you notice in the prosecution of everything, they was definitely after him because he seemed to elude them for such a long period of time. Now, upon doing my research, I did see that a gentleman by the name of Willie Hugh Morris had passed away on December 21st, 2018. And it looked like he was buried at Laurel Land Cemetery in Fort Worth, Texas. So that putting two and two together, I'm gonna almost assume that this is BootNose. So we want to say RIP to him, condolences to his family, shout out to his brother Kenneth, because I didn't see anywhere where they told on anybody. He actually got told on by his supplier. That's some real big meat situation type shit. But all my people from Fort Worth, y'all, I need y'all in the comment box, man. If y'all know anything, let them know the ghost of BootNose is still out here. Y'all make sure y'all follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, POP_A_LOT. I'm gonna be back in your city, and we worldwide with it. Y'all let us know who we need to cover, where we need to go next, who we missed. Y'all make sure y'all comment below. Let me know who we need to cover. Y'all subscribe, hit the bell right under this video so y'all know when it's dropping. Y'all get at me on Instagram, direct message me, call me, text me, email me, CC me, stop me in the street. However y'all want to do it. It's your boy Popalot. Y'all already know what it is. It's the Mobb, ties.